with this
Welcome
stuff.
to the OIT Directors Ask Us Anything session. We have
More people up here than out there.
we have a whole panel of fearless directors willing to answer your questions. Starting on the opposite end of the room from me, we have Cyrus Dadling, who's the Director of Client Services. Client Services is responsible for the service desk, desktop support, smart classroom support, instructional lab support, software licensing, and communication. Next to him, we have Marina Arsenian, the Director of Central Services, providing internal OIT services that are universal constructs for other services provided externally. Examples are data management, security, project management, quality assurance, and enterprise architecture. Then Henry Jenkins, the Senior Director from Enterprise Infrastructure. They provide warehouses, roads, and bridges, so to speak, that deliver IT services to campus. This includes design, implementation, and administration of servers, storage, network, telecom, data centers, and the public cloud. Carmen Rude, the Director of Enterprise Applications, campus-wide and unit applications throughout their whole life cycle. Her group helps design, test, and improve these applications. Then Shore Bozark-Mary, the Director of Student and Academic Services, which supports groups and activities that focus on UCI students' academic lives in addition to their overall well-being and enrichment, as well as advancing the professional and scholarly endeavors of our faculty. Oh, gosh, Eric, I didn't bring an introduction for you.
I'm also in enterprise applications with under Carmen.
Thank you. And we have Phil Papadopoulos, who's the director of our Research Cyber Infrastructure Center. The PCIC defines and maintains real infrastructure for high performance and high throughput computing, research, data storage and analysis, scientific software, and tool integration. I've said way too much. The floor is theirs.
Well, the floor is theirs.
Yours? Okay.
Joe.
All right. How does the OIT leadership see the partnership with the campus and the schools changing, growing, adapting over the next, 3 to 5 years? Like where we are today with our relationship with the campus, because we do provide some services, but how do you see us joining in with the campus vision for each one of your departments?
That's a good, everyone's looking at me, okay, I guess.
Well, they call you client services.
So, I think today there's a lot of things that the campuses, that the schools are doing individually that could be done better in a cooperation and partnership with us. And a lot of the feedback that I get, at least from the school IT directors and other staff and faculty in the schools, is that we have room for improvement in terms of our processes of getting service. So one of the ways we're doing that is here in this room and in that ballroom of getting the awareness out there. And then I think the second thing is really streamlining how everything works in terms of service requests through our organization. Our organization is extremely complex and extremely large, as you know, and sometimes a singular ask spans multiple divisions of us sitting up here in multiple teams within each division, and having a central concierge point basically to navigate such a large organization, I think would go a long way in the next couple of years to navigating that.
I think the schools have a lot of unique needs, and for them to survive, it's important for them to do those just one-off things for faculty or their students. Engineering, art, humanities, they all have their own initiatives. So the school IT directors or the IT shop in the school needs to focus on those unique things. And one of the key roles we can play is to create an environment where they can be as agile as possible. So if there's anything that we can do to enhance and improve that, whether it's taking something off their plate or doing a piece here. And we also can learn from those models so we can initiate in other areas if need be. So I think we can multiply all lessons learned, working on a school, doing this cool thing, whether it's an app we're developing or infrastructure we're developing, but kind of have that as something we can spread across the institution.
Eric and my teams for enterprise applications we currently have a whole wide list of applications. Some of them are newer, many of them are older. We do plan in the future to partner with the business units that we support to try to bring in more modern systems, really to help just continue to grow and facilitate processes for the campus. We will be moving more towards vendor-based systems rather than a lot of the homegrown solutions we have now, and possibly partnering with our business units to bring in more SaaS solutions. That's all on the horizon for us. There's a lot of need out there within enterprise applications to just really evolve our business processes with more modern systems.
And when it comes to the academic schools, they're already using a lot of those enterprise systems just because they're used, enterprise-wide already. So we don't tend to get into things that are really serving a specific school as much as we do those things that really cross all the academic schools. And hopefully it's similar. Hopefully the academic schools aren't pursuing solutions that really should be enterprise solutions. But if they identify those needs and things that should scale up, that's when we should be engaging more.
There's one other big topic on the academic schools and supporting the faculty in those schools in addition to their IT needs. One of the big needs on campus that I've identified is there's a real desire for our faculty to use research software and have easy access to that without having to piecemeal purchase it. A lot of times when we get new faculty on campus, they come to our campus and the first thing that they tell us is, oh, at my old campus, I had access to these 50 to 100 pieces of software, and I'm really trying to work with others in the schools and in senior management at the campus level to get to a point where we have somewhat of the same model, where we have most of the common necessity softwares available to everyone on campus. And we're already making progress there. One of the first ones I think we're going to be able to pull is MATLAB, which is usually used by engineering, ICS. It has uses in finance and other areas. So really excited to start moving the campus in that direction.
I was, on Friday, I was at a little meeting with somebody, he sat right next to me at lunch, Tony Scott. He was appointed by Obama as the chief information officer or something, meeting with Obama regularly on a weekly basis. And he knows a lot about computers. I was really intimidated. He was telling me about all his projects. He said, what are you doing? I said, I'm busy. Didn't have much to say. I didn't know, so my point is here, I don't really have this IT background, right? But obviously there's a big need. And I, by the way, I work right here in the Student Center in the marketing department. We're always trying to innovate here. But one thing that has been, just kind of come to my attention is a big need. Maybe you can help, and that is with the students themselves. They have projects that are really wonderful. And they're actually coming to me in my small little group of ICS students who are doing amazing work. They're young and they're hungry, right? And they can do amazing things. So I enjoy them, and I love working with them. And even though I know nothing about stuff, I'm good at managing. But so is there a path for them? Is there a dotted line to OIT in a sense where they might need some help with some servers or some even APIs, whatever they're doing? I don't know. Yeah.
I think we have a couple of things. First of all, OIT hires, I think, 65 plus students. So a lot of times they're student developers, they're support desks and other things. So we have a big pipeline because we have they got in the door to the UC campus. They're pretty smart. So that's a great resource that we tap into. And so we hire a lot of students. Second, we've been engaging with ICS specifically around project classes to be able to say, we have some needs that our units or we need to help address, and this is a perfect thing for a student project to get some real world experience guided by somebody on the IT side. And so we have a number of those, and one of those just landed this term of mine. one of my areas that's really great. The other is that I think we do have a number of commodity services that can be then available to student teams that are working. A lot of times they may need a connection either through their school IT or through some campus unit. But there's definitely commodity services that we have available. Sometimes they're just available, sometimes they're available at a charge.
As far as taking their idea, if they have an idea and they need more encouragement or a platform to work on, we at OIT last year, we started an innovation program. It is right now only for OIT, all OIT staff, students. We just put the past year behind us. We're entering the second year. We're operationalizing it, and we're looking into possible expansion. So what I'm listening is there are a lot of good ideas out there that we're not tapping into, and this could be a vehicle to bring those students to submit their ideas, and then we can evaluate them. We can find how we can help them. And if we partner with the campus, which is one of the visions Ken has, that we just don't work within the OIT walls, but this is something that we can embrace campus's ideas. Hopefully we can have the tools, resources that we can take some of those ideas and really implement them for the campus or student affairs or whatever division they're coming from. So that's the connection that I'm making here, but it's something in the future. We will explain what we do right now. We also, one other, I'd like to add that we at OIT have many staff that once used to be students. We hired them, they were students. When we had an opening, they applied. And so there's tremendous support for bringing good, talented students to OIT and help groom them, grow them, and they love to stay and be part of the organization.
Just like this nursing literacy program, a student, he doesn't want to be an IT developer at all, but he's got a scholarship and got some nice money to help with the development of a website, just bringing researchers together with undergraduate nursing students. And well, he doesn't want to be a developer, he just needs that kind of help. And sometimes it's just talking, helping, knowing what needs to happen, but then they need to get some materials of development and design. What would I call it?
I would contact OIT, UCI, 2222, like web development, design, or some of the commodity services we provide for the campus. Yeah.
That, and if it's just a conversation that we're looking to start, the conversation around website support starts with Sarkis's area.
Oh,
like I mentioned in the keynote, we do have a website content management platform that is essentially free to campus. If you bring your own content, you bring your own person to manage it, we provide you website infrastructure and content management that you can build some of these things with our assistance. If it's a huge project, we're probably not going to be able to spend time on it. But if it's just consultation, we're available for consultation.
yeah.
Yeah, so somebody mentioned about the age of some of the systems we're migrating into some non-homegrown based systems. And I've only been here a year and 4 months or so. I was kind of surprised by some of the processes we had in place. I think Henry and I had talked about it probably once or twice in the past. Are we pretty unique in that sense? Most schools in a similar situation, that they have a lot of legacy systems, there's a lot of paper process that's still trying to be evolved into more modern technology.
I don't think it's unique.
Yeah,
I mean, if you think about it, you get a process in place, and people get used to it, and their workflow, whatever it is, runs around that process, and then you ask them to change, and they go, wait, this is working just fine. And you have processes that run decades, that were started decades ago. You have to migrate them. I was interested. I don't know your name. I'm sorry. You were asking about how do things progress over time. I think one of the really hard things in IT over time, no matter what you're talking about, is when do you decide to stop doing something, right? So there was a time when every campus ran their own email system. When do you stop doing that and you outsource it to that's one of 150 different things that you can figure out when you stop doing things. It takes a long time for people to come to grips to say, we should stop doing that and do it differently. It's just time. I don't think it's unique to UCI.
Do you think it has to do with longevity of employees? And the reason I say that, I worked for companies in Silicon Valley, which was a very dynamic environment where average tenure was probably 3 to 5 years. This was kind of in the 90s and early 2000s. Moved to Santa Barbara for another tech company. It was such a beautiful place, literally on the beach. It was just, paradise. And people were there. I was the new guy, but the next new guy was like 8 years. And he was always called the new guy until I started. So they had this culture of, we've always done it this way. And there was no new cross-pollination of ideas, lack of better terms, to bring in ideas of like how we can do stuff better, quicker, more efficient, or just maybe out of the box of what they don't think about.
I don't know if it's age of employee or more just age of the enterprise that you're talking about. If you go and you talk, I've always remarked to myself, like you go into a place like IBM. IBM has had many different kind of incarnations of itself over the years. But whenever you get into a room with an IBM salesman, they will always, their mantra has always been, we're going to make you feel really stupid for not purchasing IBM, and that's been it. And that was laid down, back in the 20s when they sold adding machines and that sort of thing. So I think as you get, just as you have older organizations, things just get, they've been put in place, they've been done for a long time, it's harder to change.
Yeah,
A lot of leadership.
Sorry to interrupt, John.
Yeah.
I thought you would stop.
Now,
Just kidding. You almost got it. Well, what you're talking about goes beyond process. It goes to culture, which is one of the reasons that we've embarked, we in OIT have embarked on this whole cultural unification initiative that we've talked about, because we don't want to be stale, among other things. That's what happens when you get in an organization that does more than acknowledge its past, it reveres its past. You can get stuck that way. But even old organizations that have a culture that rewards that kind of dynamism, that kind of innovation, you are going to see more changes, especially if they put their money where their mouth is and they expect to see those results and they reward based on those results. So I suspect that although longevity has a factor, it's really the fact that those employees have embraced and continue to disseminate the culture around them and make sure that new people are brought up in the right culture and they hire for that culture and the company never changes.
We have 5 minutes.
Or do we have any other questions? I wanted to just mention that it's also funding, limitations on funding that keep some of these older systems around or older solutions around. When there is a new pot of money out there, the campus needs to decide, are they going to spend it on, some new initiative or on replacing something that sort of works, or, so funding is another big piece of that puzzle. And really, we need to make better cases for why certain products need replacement in partnership with, of course, our clients and the people that own the processes.
And so, as a follow-up to that, I will say that the proliferation of old technology that doesn't go away is because the prioritization is on new build and not sunset old. And if you do it right, you can take the new projects that are bringing in new process and technology and direct them in the right direction so that you can take down some of the older technology at the same time.
And you'll still get waylaid for taking down old technology. So
Yeah, says the guy who's sunsetting.
The campus transition, and I have nothing to do with it, right? I was in a meeting and talking about research cyber infrastructure, and the first thing out of the faculty member's mouth was, why the hell did you take down IEEE in place of campus? Campus is terrible. But I mean, if you look at it from a technology point of view, IEEE, it's terrific. People love it. But there's also a lot of kind of care and feeding of that software, and it's expensive to do that.
any other questions from folks?
Yeah, I just wanted to hear you talk a little bit about how the directors work together within OIT. I think, you know, UCI overall can be observed as being pretty siloed organization with the schools and some of the other units. So I'd just love to hear some of the directors talk about how you work amongst each other, because I know a lot of the projects that we get from clients do require multiple directors in multiple areas to work together.
We have lots of touch points. We meet every week as a group. And we have project meetings where we rank projects, high priority, low priority, expensive, no money. So it depends on how we slice and dice those. I think through those touch points, we're aware of what's happening in each other's areas. And then we also work together on specific projects. When Eric and I work on the Innovation Center together. So that's how we do that. But I think sometimes the staff may see that we may not be working or knowing, or if that is the case, I think we like to hear where we can improve, or where we can step in and have more communication, or see what the actual problems are. We need that feedback, so.
I think as individuals, I think this group works very well together. There's very little friction. I think there's a lot of respect for boundaries, because every area of the directors has such a rich portfolio of services. We don't even try to understand the depth of what's going on in that portfolio, but we trust that division is managing their sense of portfolio. And so I think when it comes to what's happening with that service, we may not necessarily have a lot of exposure across the broad directorship, but when it comes to sort of overall collaboration, I think there's a lot of things that we do intentionally to make sure that we at least have good, smooth communication.
And maybe I'll add some of the recent work we've done with the ServiceNow request forms, basically putting in processes that are crossing all our divisions. We do have to talk regularly to make sure those processes work. And there have been a number of developments through basically manifest themselves as through our ServiceNow platform as requests, but behind the scenes, all the directors have to look pretty carefully to make sure those processes work, because we're all dependent on each other's teams at this point.
We have 1 minute.
Is this the total number of directors? And it might be a dumb question, so I apologize, but is there more directors? I've never even thought about it before.
No, this is all of us.
This is it.
Oh, save business services.
We have a business director, who is not here, but she's in charge of the financial. She's the chief of the staff